Hello and welcome back to the Chatter Cave podcast, where we talk media in the forms of reviews or topical-based discussions, which is obviously today, topical-based discussion. I'm your host, Ranking Thomas Hughes. I'm joined by the Mariah Carey worshipping Zenny F _ aka Connor O'Shea.
Correct.
He's melted a bit too early.
Yeah.
It's that fucking video of her being melted after Halloween. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen it.
When she's melted out. It's like,
All
no!
from the Halloween costumes.
I still think the best thing is that animated one. When it's on the roof.
Yeah.
And the guy comes out with a shotgun. He's like, Dad, don't! And just fucking blasts them away. Still the best one. Anyway, so yes, today's topical-based discussion is obviously us predicting who's going to get nominated for the big Game of the Year award. So obviously there's 6 choices. So we'll have more than 6 here, but obviously we're going to whittle this down to actual 6 to us. Because I don't think we did this last year. No, we did the year before. I know we did the year before. We did that and then did the Game of the Year.
I think we was gonna, but obviously the things came out before we had a chance.
Yeah, I think so. Because obviously, recurrence is obviously the actual predicting who's going to win. We do that each year so far. This will be our 3rd one next week. But I think the first year we did the predictions, which was when obviously it was nominated. It was the It Takes Two one, wasn't it? I think it was the It Takes Two one that year.
Yes, I think that won that year.
Yeah. So obviously I think we did predictions for that and then did the actual who's going to win. But as I said, last year I'm pretty certain, as you said, we kind of waited a bit too long. But thankfully they announced literally, what was it? Was it Monday just gone or Tuesday? They was like, oh, it's next Monday. I was like, thank fuck they haven't just said, you know what, it's coming out Friday. Oh, bollocks.
Yes, list, have it.
But thankfully they haven't and they did it next week. So, but yes, so we're going to just do our predictions here. I think you said yourself literally moments ago that they're probably going to be very similar.
Yeah, they're going to be almost
prediction wise. But I said to you, I've got 5 that are pretty certain, 100%. But it's just that 6th one. I've got a couple to choose from. Then if you've got all 6 100% nailed in.
I think I got like maybe 5. Might be a one that's a bit decisive. I guess depends if it gets on.
So yeah, obviously we'll say why we're both given a little reason if we've both chosen that one, why we think that's going to be there. So I think we'll start off with the big one. I feel like it's probably the biggest chance of winning this year, and that's probably Baldur's Gate 3. I feel like that's 100% getting nominated.
That's getting nominated, yeah.
It's got it has to. I mean, it's got the customizability that you want from this type of game, like a D&D inspired game. You want to be able to customize the hell out of your character. You shut up in the background. All I heard was fucking Albert, you say. But yeah, you from a D&D game, you want customization. Obviously, we've had, in terms of what labelled as D&D, obviously that fucking, the one that you hate. The one you got pre-designed characters already there. Yeah, Dark Alliance, was it?
Oh, Dark Alliance, I thought you were talking about Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which is also D&D themed.
Yeah, but that was more, obviously, that's part of the Borderlands universe, isn't it? Yeah. But obviously an actual D&D type one, obviously Dark Alliance, it's not obviously customized, but it's just pre-existing characters that I think all you can do is customize what your outfit a little bit. Like, it's not your character choice, whereas this, you get that idea again, the idea of you can have one of these custom-built characters the game's already made for the story, or you can have your own characters that will interact with said pre-made characters. And I feel like for a D&D game, that's what you need. You can have the option, because I mean, realistically, D&D, you can play games where that option is available, where you've got pre-existing characters that you could use. Like, for example, I think like the base starter sets, a lot of the base starter sets, you have obviously the papers and everything to tell you how to make a character, but you'll also have the option of, well, if you don't want to, here's your characters for you. Because I think, which one is it? I've got, no, there's one set I've got that I know. I can't remember if it's the weird little board game one I've got, or it's the re-updated starter set. I know there is about 4 or 5 characters in there that, like, if you don't want to make your own, you can just use these character sheets with everything already done for you.
The original starter one, the very first one we had that because you can make one.
Okay. So yeah, so obviously it does that option, and then you can, if you want to, you can just make your own if you don't want to stick with whichever crappy characters they've made. And that's the same with this.
They're a good character.
Yeah, in Baldur's Gate, yes, but I mean, like in the pre-existing like D&D basic bitch characters. It's very basic characters, whereas this there's an obviously story to them that it's actually pretty decent.
Each character has their own unique.
Yeah, and obviously you can play through those characters' own stories, or you can play through your character's story that intertwines into theirs. And I feel like for a D&D game, that's what you kind of need. And it handles everything you want so well. Obviously, I mean, we spoke about it in an actual Baldur's Gate 3 podcast a couple of months back, didn't we? When it first pretty much came out, roughly. And we spoke about it. Yeah, just after we played a little bit of it. Not like Hayden, who's got fucking God knows how many hours into it. And when I was talking to her earlier, and I can see a computer screen behind her, it's very clearly on the start screen again, making another custom character. Like, I've lost how many custom characters you got in that game now?
Over 30.
Over 30? Over 30 custom characters you've got in that game now. Every time I look at her, literally every time.
287.4 hours.
I'll say 287.4 hours. Jesus Christ. You're gonna reach James's Europa Salus, whatever it is, fucking there.
No, I don't think anyone can reach that. That's ridiculous. That's like,
I feel like if Hayden just played this game, like, doesn't take a break, I think she could match it.
Yeah, but then one day they'll bring Baldur's Gate 4 out, and then...
Yeah, she jumps away from Baldur's Gate 3 to Baldur's Gate 4. Or technically speaking, they throw out Elder Scrolls, the next game, and then she kind of like, what's Baldur's Gate 3? Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. What's that game again?
But yeah, obviously, as I say, we spoke heavily into detail of what makes it a really good game. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description below for it. And it just generally, I feel like it ticks every box that should put it in to the category of Game of the Year, at least.
It's a dress-up game.
It's a dress-up game. What?
That's why it's very popular.
No, it's a dress-down game.
It's a dress-down game.
Like a Barbie dress.
Oh, no, I accidentally hit my trousers off. Oh, my knob's hanging out. Oh, my titties are out.
Just before no cutscenes coming, I've undressed all the characters in it.
I mean, you did that when we played it on screen that once, and I turned around and you're there butt-ass naked. Thankfully, I got the fucking stream settings on, so you just got a little leaf over your cock. Oh, I still can't fucking. It doesn't surprise me that it's over 30. That doesn't surprise me. Literally every time I look at it, it's just the intro fucking sequence over and over again. Another bit with Lae'zel when she jumps down. Every time I turn around to a laptop, it's always that fucking scene. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, you started again.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it just ticks every box to get. I mean, technically speaking, I'm pretty certain it's like the one of, if not the highest rated game critically of the year.
It's one of like the highest rated games of all time.
So realistically, it ticks every box. It's just
tied this year with the next one that I think we're going to put in, which would be Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, yeah. Obviously, because, I mean, Nintendo. I mean, it has to, there's always one on there. I want to double check, actually. Highest rated game. Oh.
Pretty sure it's both identical. Pretty sure it's like 97, 97. Oh.
Fucking irreplaceable car or something. Rated.
Yeah. And the hard drives.
Defend the hard drives. No! Get out of there! Yeah, it's joint highest with Tears of the Kingdom.
Is it 97?
96.
6.
On Metacritic, they're both at 96. But I will say this. Baldur's Gate 3 is the higher user rating on there of 8.9. Tears of the Kingdom has an 8.3 rating. Obviously, Baldur's Gate 3 has obviously more. But I think what will top Baldur's Gate 3 over Tears of the Kingdom is the fact that it's on pretty much all consoles.
Yeah, over the Xbox at the minute.
It's supposed to be soon though.
Yeah, it's meant to be soon.
Like within the next month, I think.
It's coming out December the 6th, and the lead developer was like, "Is it? I haven't heard anything about this."
Yeah, I felt Tears of the Kingdom's the other nailed on. I mean, didn't it win like most anticipated game last year?
Yeah. See, as much as like I understand why people love the game. I could never get into it just because fucking frame rate on the Switch is dreadful. Just after a while, it just does me head in. But it's literally like the same map reused and then like a few added extra areas. And it's like I feel like if any other game did that, it get absolutely slammed. I mean, look at Spider-Man. People are slamming that, and there's like, oh, it's almost the same map. It's like, hang on.
Well, it's gonna be
like you can't have this for one game, but then for Zelda, it's absolutely fine. Like Some bullshit.
I mean, Spider-Man's gonna be. It's New York. I mean, it's literally gonna be half the map as it was anyway. And obviously, this time they added. This time they added the extra fucking parts to it, so you got another part of the map.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most sequels tend to be just the same game map anyway. You might have like new areas to go to, but most will just utilize the base map anyway. Because why would you change it entirely unless story-wise you go into a different land entirely? It'd be like, for example, God of War. So Ragnarok utilized a lot of the first game's like sort of areas. It'd be like if instead of that, if the second game was it took you, I don't know, like where the comic went. The comic went to, was it Egypt?
Yep.
If it took you all the way to Egypt, then it's not going to utilize the same map. Whereas obviously this, it needed the same sort of location because it's in the same area. Of course, it's going to stick a lot of the same. It'll update little bits here and there because it's obviously been how many years since the last one, so they'll update the map little bits here and there, and then they'll add these new areas. It's always going to use the same one, but as you say, fucking slamming, you can't slam one game for utilising the same map and not slam another game. Like, you're praising the hell out of this one game, like, oh, it's the greatest game out there, and then people say, hold on, but you've just slammed this game for utilising the same map as the last. Yeah. This game is it's the same. It's just done the exact same. That's what we call Nintendo suck boys.
Nintendo suck boys.
You're always guaranteed.
They always make really good polished games, but the systems to run on are just ass. Yeah. And I feel like if they had a decent system, they'd play so much better.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you'd probably get into it a lot more. But don't get me wrong, obviously, the idea of the Switch, obviously, is technically, if you think about it, the bigger screen is just an updated DS. It's just a bigger DS or a bigger PSP. Like,
it's just a Wii U without the console.
Yeah. Or just a Wii U without the console part of it. See, I get the idea behind that. It's something that is useful. As you say, like if you're on a plane or something, or you're on a trip, it's something useful to whack out and play. Like, you don't have to connect to the internet; just put the cartridge in, done. Whereas they say like something like the Steam Deck, you need the internet connection to access your game library. So you're kind of fucked in that sense. But as I say, for like kids on journeys and whatnot, it's a useful little tool for them to sit around and play on. But as you say, fucking Nintendo, they put out good games, but attached to very weak systems. I know you said that in another podcast. I can't remember which one you did, but yeah, might have been many podcasts.
Might have been more Kombat one.
Might have been, yes, because we were slamming the Switch port, weren't we?
Talking about before we move on to the next one, Steam just announced the new OLED Steam Deck.
Have they?
She just announced it. Yeah, it's like, I think it goes up to 1 terabyte now, and it's like longer charge times and faster download speed or something.
I haven't played my Steam Deck for a while. I replaced it after it got fucked, and then I just barely touched it.
Never touched it.
I think the reason I touched it was Baldur's Gate 3. That was it. That's all it's really installed now, because how big of a game it is.
It's massive.
It takes up most of the fucking space. But yeah, I know both of us in terms of obviously the Zelda games. We played to an extent to the first one, obviously Breath of the Wild, but never got that far into it. But obviously I know and you know that won Game of the Year when it came out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the toughest competition it's going to have this year. Because, I mean, what actually came out in... When did Breath of the Wild come out?
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
That's a question for you.
2019? No. Was it that long ago?
Nah, before that, because 2019 was Sekiro one, didn't it? Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild came out in 2017.
Jesus, that long ago?
I'm going to have a look what came out in 2017. Game Awards 2017. Games... No, I need the fucking actual awards. There we go. So, Game of the Year. The only... Literally, its competition that year was Horizon Zero Dawn, which was a big game, but obviously it wasn't a mega, like, not like how God of War is for PlayStation or the new Spider-Man. It wasn't that massive. Not like its last game, obviously the Forbidden West, obviously, which was a bigger deal because it was a lot more graphically advanced, obviously better story and whatnot. Obviously, it also went up against Persona 5, PUBG, and fucking Super Mario Odyssey. So literally that year was basically Nintendo sucked off twice to get on there.
But it's almost guaranteed to be a Nintendo game because
Two of
the
those.
other game this wasn't exactly like amazing for
So,
game of the year.
Persona 5, would you really call that game of the year? PUBG, would you really call that game of the year? I mean, literally, I think the only one... Did Mario Odyssey do any good when it came out?
Mario Odyssey did really good. I think it's still one of the best Mario games.
So literally, there's only 3 options up there that would have won it, which was Zelda, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Odyssey. So either way, it was going to be a Nintendo game. And just for the fact that there hasn't been a proper top-tier Zelda game in a long time, I felt like that's what edged that higher than the rest. But yeah, so it was guaranteed to win. As I say, we put a little bit of time into it. I think we both said, like, every time you put it down and you eventually go back to it, you're just like, I don't remember what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you always have to go back to try and catch up again. But then by that point, you've bored again. It's just too big of a game. I feel like some games, like, when they're big, like, for example, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I know it's a massive game, like, map and everything. But even if I go back to that, I still understand what the fuck I'm doing. I still understand which buttons to use. Whereas, like, for example, the Zelda one, I went back to that a while ago, and I was stuck in like this cold area, and I was so struggling trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, hey, I'm dying here. What the fuck am I supposed to? I figured it out eventually. Like, it took me a while to get my head around what the fuck I was doing, but that's what I'm getting at. It takes a while to try and fucking remember. Whereas, let's say Odyssey, it's just simple stab, slice, like, done. I feel like that, and the fact that it's been on the Switch, it's fucking one to sit there on the fucking Switch. Yeah, even if you plug it into your TV, it's still not gonna look anywhere near as good as it could be if they put money into the console.
Yeah, they can actually have more NPCs and stuff going on screen, so it's bland landscape.
So I feel like that's why me and you kind of stay clear of the second one this year, is because we were both like, well, we haven't really finished the first one, so what's the point in fucking playing the second one?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's just no point touching it. Yeah, the first one looked pretty, it was an interesting enough game, but we never finished it because A, Switch isn't the best of fucking consoles for actual proper gaming, and B, it's just too big of a game to wrap your mind around.
The Switch can get games right if it sticks to what it's good for, but when it tries to do these open world games, I feel like that's where it falls down for me. It's like even Pokemon, the new one, that game runs like ass and looks dreadful, and it's like because it can't render stuff that big. The Switch isn't built for that. Like, the new Mario looks really good. I think that might be up for Game of the Year, possibly. It's not on my list, but
that's under my possible 6th nominees one.
That could be there, but that's built. You could tell that's actually built for the hardware it's on. Like, it literally plays really well. It looks really fun. I actually want to play it, but I'm not paying fucking like 50 quid for like a Mario game. But like, it generally looks like a decent game. Whereas like when you look at these open world games that they keep releasing, it's like it looks so bad. Like, I just don't see it. It's like obviously when Monster Hunter Rise came out for the Switch, I enjoyed it on the Switch, but you could just feel how clunky it was with like the frames and it trying to render like this big, more open world. And then you play it on PC and console, it's like it's just night and day. You can just see the massive differences. Like, I know it took them longer to put it onto console, but that's just because didn't they have like rights to it originally? Nintendo, they had like exclusivity.
More likely, a bit like how fucking like Epic has exclusive rights sometimes to PC launches. Like, they have it for a few extra months or a year over the previous one.
Yeah, I'm maybe they released it on Switch thinking it'd sell more than it did, and was like, ah, shit, yeah, let's release it on console. Because I know it took a while to come to PlayStation and Xbox. It didn't take that long to come to PC, but it took ages to come to console. So,
but yeah, it's just. See, I wouldn't mind playing it just because how well obviously the reviews are on this new fucking Zelda one. You see the reviews like from everyone, it's just like that's saying like I kind of want to play it. It's like it's supposed to be really fucking good, but it's going back and playing the fucking first one and trying to fucking get through that to then sink your teeth into a new one. That's the only problem.
See, even going to the first one, right? I understand why people love it, but I just can't get into it. It just doesn't feel.
There's a lot of bland fucking landscape in it.
It's like I'm half the time you're just searching for those shrines, and it's like, well, why am I just looking for these shrines? Like, feels so boring to just go around just to get an upgrade to this. I don't know. But even the boss fights aren't really amazing. It's just the same combat. Like, oh, block, parry, hit. It's like, I'm bored now.
I feel like as well with like a lot of open world games like these, obviously the bigger console ones, there's a lot more in these worlds as you're walking around. But obviously, I remember playing like a little bit of that one, and it's only like little certain areas that there's anything. And most of the time, it's just flat land. That's it. Whereas you say, look at
because it can't render all the stuff in it.
I'm trying to think of like a big open world game that come out within the last couple of years.
Witcher.
That, for example, there's a lot of fucking there's a lot of areas and there's a lot of fucking stuff within this like areas. There's a lot of towns you can go into. There's a lot of fucking monsters just lurking around that you can fight. There's a lot of fucking quests around that take you to areas where you'd think there's nothing, but there's actually stuff there. So it's just this seems like it's a big open world game that didn't require the big open worldness. But yeah,
I think there's Zelda games that have more of like a narrative focused thing rather than like your side quests.
I know obviously that one, the new one, is obviously it's up there in terms of fighting with Baldur's Gate 3 for the. I know obviously it's like a massive argument online between people that saying, "Oh, this is going to win, this one's going to win."
It'd be just if it wins, it'll split the game community. I feel like in half then, because I feel like Zelda came out, and it did change stuff, but it didn't change enough for me to be like, oh, it's going to be Game of the Year this year. Whereas Baldur's Gate came out and changed so much of the gaming norm, having like all this free choice, every decision kind of actually mean. I mean, look at Cyberpunk when that was promised, and it was like, oh, you're going to change decisions based on what you say, and it didn't.
Basically promised what Baldur's Gate 3 was going to kind of do, but didn't.
Obviously, Baldur's Gate 3 actually came out and actually gave. Like, I know it was in early access for a while, but that was just because I wanted to
show people what they could do before actually giving them the big finished product. And then they could get a lot of comments on what to improve, what people would like in it. Like that's why it would go into early access. It was the right call, realistically. It was the right call to put it in early access to get people's thoughts and feelings on what they want to see when it fully goes live. Which when it came out, it was the talk of the town. Like no one could stop talking about it. Everyone was playing it. It was a big deal.
Like the biggest problem is we're going against Zelda. Zelda's such a big IP.
Yeah, and
so many
Nintendo.
I mean, look at Larian Studios' other stuff like oh my god, I just had it in my head. The previous game, Divinity, they've never been nominated for Game of the Year, but they're very similar to Baldur's Gate 3. So this is the first time it's ever been pushed for a Game of the Year. For one of their games, I don't think most of their games have been. Has any of their games ever been pushed for Game of the Year? I don't think Divinity's ever. Maybe Best RPG, but certainly not Game of the Year. So it's going to be hard for them to. Like I say, Zelda's going to be the biggest competition.
Yeah, I think those two are easily the biggest ones. Obviously, as I say, all the other ones, I reckon that we're probably going to say have been big deals as well. But I don't think any of them are going to be as big as those two fighting for it. It's essentially, if you think about it, this is if you look back at the 2018 awards, God of War versus Red Dead 2, it's essentially that, just on lesser, on less massive graphical base, if you know what I mean. Because those two games are just like graphical masterpieces. These two aren't that level of graphical masterpiece. So it's essentially that fight again.
Or last
year, yeah. God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring. But I think we're both agreeing on which one of these two should be picking it up over the other one.
Or at least which one we want to win. Whereas last year we was both again.
We're both divided on which one we thought. I mean, it's very rare we both agreed on one over the last couple of years, but I feel like this year is the one we're both agreeing on which one should be walking out with Game of the Year realistically.
I feel like even if Baldur's Gate wasn't my favourite Game of the Year, the technical overall of the game
overpowers Zelda 100%.
And even like the you can tell the passion in the game puts it above it. For me, it's just like 100%.
Like you can literally play it hours and hours and hours. In my opinion, as Hayden's shown, she can play it hours and hours and hours. That just shows how much of a decent game it is if you can replayability options. Whereas with Zelda, there's not going to be, is there? Really? I mean, if you look at fucking like God of War Ragnarok and stuff like that, there's not massive amounts of replayability in them in terms of story. Once you've done the story, you've done the story. That's it. Whereas these ones, like, you can change so much to get to that end. Yeah, you might get the same outcome at the end, but there's so many different things you can change to get to that outcome. Whereas all these other and there is different outcomes, yes, for the ending. But obviously, all these other like main sort of games, which are probably the same as Zelda, a lot of them are the same path to get to the end. It's just a straight line because that's what they're built for. Their game's built for the straight line, whereas this is built for a wavy line going up.
Like, if you say is like the Dark Urge.
Yeah, the Dark Urge story, which is like fucking just chaotic.
Yeah, like literally so like crazy. The fact that the amount of people you kill, all these companions, like a really big important story. One's like Isabel, that the like a big cleric. Act 2, you as a Dark Urge, you're urged to kill her just because Baal wants you to. And then there's like stuff in Act 3 where you learn like why the Dark Urge exists like that.
Yeah,
a lot of weird things.
That's your turn up.
There you go.
I thought I'd turn the mic so you'd actually catch every fucking bit of dialogue. So I thought I'd better turn it so you'll actually pick up every bit of dialogue she's saying. But yeah, I feel like this is the one year we're both going to agree on what should be picking this award up. So let's add the honorary runner-ups. I
know what's on your list, and I'm going to put it on my list.
Spider-Man 2.
And that's Spider-Man.
For me, I preferred the story of that to Baldur's Gate 3, and I would put it as my game of the year. But on a technical point, Baldur's Gate 3 would take it.
You're a Spider-Man suck fan as well. Spider-Man can do no wrong. Ass suck it.
I'll suck your ass in a minute.
Nothing to beat the original Spider-Man with the pizza delivery mission.
Oh, fucking yes, I remember them. No, just for me, like the stuff they added to the new Spider-Man game, and obviously the story itself, it for me is the best of the three so far, and I kind of can't wait to see where they're gonna go next. Are they going to do another little mini game after the end credit scene, or they're going to do straight into a big Spider-Man 3 game? So I just think Insomniac's the right developers for Marvel games at the moment. Like, they're 100% the right company to be making Marvel-based products, and that's why I'm looking forward to this Wolverine game that's coming out. Obviously, Spider-Man 3. If they do that Venom game, which they're talking about, like, they're probably the best choice of developers so far for these Marvel games, because all these other ones that have been coming out haven't been as great. I think the only one for me that came out that was actually decent was Midnight Suns. That's the only one that came out which is decent, which again is another RPG game, like fucking a turn-based RPG, like fucking Baldur's Gate is in combat. It's another one of those type of ones. I think I'm slowly just getting into that type of gaming now, thanks to Midnight Suns and now Baldur's Gate 3. If it's done right, it's fucking done right. But yeah, for me, Insomniac's just doing such a good job with Marvel IPs, and Spider-Man 2 is another solid one that had a really solid story, great cast, great villains. Like from the last one, which I mean, the first one had a lot of really good villains. Second one was the Miles Morales one. Dropped back in the villain fronts. It wasn't as many, but they're still decent. But this one came out the bag with Venom, with Kraven, with a little Carnage tease, with fucking Doc Ock tease for the next one. A lot of like little teasers and a lot of actual characters who we hadn't seen in the first one. Lizard, for example. I mean, that motherfucker looked like a dinosaur. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff in this game. That's why I would put it on a story-based. I'd put it over Baldur's Gate for its story. But on a technical aspect of how it's changed, like a lot of shit, Baldur's Gate 3 would top it. So I'm gonna be like, it is gonna be tricky for me next week to actually put down which one for Game of the Year. I feel like I might just put Baldur's Gate 3 just so it beats Zelda. And then put fucking Spider-Man under is it the fan vote one?
Yes.
So I might do that one for that one, but we'll see. So yeah, I feel like that's going to be definitely nominated. I mean, it was highly rated critically and audience-wise. Isn't it like either the highest or the second highest Marvel game out there?
It's got to be one of the highest. I mean, what other massive Marvel games come out? That's been amazing. Look at the Avengers game.
I think Metacritic, it's only got like one mixed review on there. Like, it's got all positive, just one mixed review as someone's whining about some glitch or something in the game. Okay, I don't know if this one's on yours, but I got a feeling it might be because we both played it. Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, that's on the list.
I mean,
that's got it. That's got to be up there.
They
man.
always nominate Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 2 and 3, both got, and Village. All three of them got nominated in the last couple of years for the award.
Resident Evil 3 was one of the worst remakes, right?
And it got nominated.
Like, it's a good game, just changed so much.
Didn't Res 7 get nominated as well?
I'm pretty sure every year if a Resident Evil game comes out,
I feel like
always gets nominated.
it's guaranteed nomination. I mean, it's easily probably one of the best remakes of the Resident Evil franchise. I mean, I never touched the other ones, and I
think
barely
the
touched.
second one is more faithful to the original, but the fourth one just it
Feels
always
better.
feels better. Even the fourth one, the
Original.
original feels better just because it's more action. So
I'm saying I'm not someone who's played. I think the only ones I played was I played a bit of the fifth one with you until the fucking stream started fucking up. I played like 1 or 2 chapters in the sixth one, and I played the start of 7. I think the furthest I got in a Res game up until 4 came out was Village. I got pretty much towards the end of fucking haven't sat down to play the rest of it yet. But Resident Evil 4 is the first one I've actually sat through the entire story from start to finish. And I fucking enjoyed it. I couldn't put it down. It was such a good game. I mean, me and you kept speaking about it for a while of how good it was. I'm pretty certain again we might have done a podcast on Resident Evil 4 talking about it. Sure. So if we have, I'll put that in the comments below in the description below as well. So again, it just feels like it's gonna guarantee a nomination. That, and critically on Metacritic, it was at like 94, I think it is. At the 4 we've literally said so far, it is the third highest rated one. It's obviously higher rated than Spider-Man critically. I don't know about audience. I can't tell you about that one. I'm not too sure off the top of my head. So yeah, it's. I think these 4 at the moment are just guaranteed to basically get a nomination, either based on.
Resident Evil 4 is 100% going to be on there. I mean, the original was like a fan favorite, and then this one came out and just did the original justice, so it's going to be up there.
I think these 4 are going to be nominated based on hype for the build-up for launch, obviously hype around launch, and just the overall chatter of how well the game's done. And I feel like all 4 of these are fully nailed at the moment. For my 5th one, though, I don't know if you've got this on yours. This is a new game. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. Alan Wake 2.
I haven't got that on my list. That would have been on like my off list, but I haven't seen too much about it to know. I've seen good stuff about it, kept away from it. Because I kind of want to play the original to play it, so I'm waiting for it to go on Zelda. So
I've got the original thanks to like a demo code, but I had to reinstall it so I could reinstall the old CODs to play through them. But I mean, it's like a small download anyway. It's like fucking 6-7 gig.
We got a remastered version of the first one, though, right?
Yes, so I might try and pick up that one. But yeah, obviously, on Metacritic, like audience and critics are very similar on their ratings. For like, it's behind Spider-Man. Like, it is the lowest rated of all the ones I've put on here so far, but it's still really highly rated. I've read I've seen like a lot of articles on about could this be a dark horse for this year, and I thought, no, it's not going to be, because there's no chance in hell any game's really going to beat
the top 10. But he could possibly be in there. I think it might be in the list. I mean, I've got one that I don't think you'll have on your list.
Well, that's all my list anyway. But you'll see if anything's on my extended canon. But yeah, I was reading like literally loads of articles being like, could this be like a dark horse to win that whole thing? Like, is this going to beat Baldur's Gate? I'm just like, the only thing that's got a chance of beating Baldur's Gate 3 this year is going to be Legends of Zelda, unless one of these other ones somehow shock the world like It Takes Two did and somehow win it. Like, that's the only way anything else is going to win it other than those two, is if it's a shock victory. Because we're both
a weak year though for gaming.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, It Takes Two was a shock win, wasn't it? Really, I mean, it came out the same year as like Ratchet and Clank, and wasn't Village out that year as well? I think it was, yeah. So it came out that year, and it still was a shock win. Like, no one expected it. Like, I wanted it to win, but obviously I chose Ratchet and Clank because that I fully enjoyed playing. But obviously, it was like, if anything else wins, it needs to be that one. So the only way anything's going to beat the two obvious candidates this year for the victory is going to be a shock. Like, it's going to be like, holy shit, I didn't like that was on there, but that I did not expect that to overpower these two like fucking through the roof loved games. So yeah, I feel like I was reading loads of articles and I was just like, yeah, no, it's not going to be Dark Horse. It's going to be pretty on there because it's come out to like a lot of people praising a lot of aspects of it, like the cutscenes and stuff like that. like the integration of like live action to the game, like they did with Quantum Break. There's a lot of praise for stuff like that, and a lot of the gameplay mechanics. But I still don't think it's going to win. It'd be on the list, but it's not going to fucking win.
I want to play it. Like I say, it's one of the games I want to play, but I don't want to jump at it now. I'm going to wait a little while. It's probably obviously wait for it to come down in price a bit.
Yeah, same. Okay, so how many other possible nominees you got to choose from?
Two more.
I've got 4.
I've got 2 more. That's gonna go on like, because 2 more that I think.
Okay, so far we're in agreement on the 4, but obviously you haven't chose Alan Wake 2. What was your other pick?
Do you want to pick the one that I think you might not have on your list, or the one that I think you'll have on your list?
Go with the might not.
Armored Core 6.
That is not. It's the one that I looked at, but I didn't put it on the list.
Because obviously, what was it? Sekiro won. What year was Sekiro?
2019.
2019.
No, yes, 2019.
It's 2019, and then obviously Elden Ring picked it up last year. And I always find that like a studio who like obviously it's another FromSoft product. It's not obviously the same kind of game, but it's like their product again. They'll probably push it in because the studio won 2 big things. Let's push it in. I feel like it will be in there. I feel like it might even push out like Resident Evil if it had to be in there, because they're such a big studio currently, and everyone's fucking raving about F in the release. I mean, obviously, I think this was obviously a lot smaller than Elden Ring in scale of like people wanting to play and stuff. But I still think when it was coming out, even people that hadn't played Armored Core before was like, "Oh my god, it's a From Software game. It's going to be great." And it's like when the studio's name's tied to a product, I think that's a massive thing. Like like for an example, you with Spider-Man, Insomniac now, they're like a massive thing. Even if they released an IP that wasn't Spider-Man, I feel like just the company name would be like, oh shit, let's just buy that game. So I feel like
Armored Core VI, is it?
Armored Core 6, so yeah.
Fires of Rubicon.
Yes.
86 critically, 8 out of 10 audience-wise.
So I feel like you'd be up there.
Highest. If I look at the highest rated games again, on Metacritic at least, it currently sits at not even on the first page. It currently sits 33 on the list.
But yeah, I'm guessing
the Dead Space game's higher than it.
Yeah, Dead Space was gonna be on my list, but I was thinking, I know it's a good remake, but it's one of them franchises that was big at the time, but I don't know how big it is now. So there's a big gap between it.
If you play into obviously where stuff's ranked, I say Armored Core is there. I mean, Spider-Man's only ranked 27 of the games this year. But thing is though, what I want to say is some of these games, like for example, you've got the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition on there. That game's old, but obviously it's the new port of it sort of thing. It's the fucking the Xbox Series X version of it. So technically speaking, if you minus that off it, these would minus down like a peg. Oh, it's gone up actually. Alan Wake 2's gone up. Oh no, it hasn't. For some reason, the one page it's saying 94. But when you click on Alan Wake 2, it says 89. So I don't know why it's. I'm guessing the one page hasn't updated. But yeah, so technically speaking, you can minus some of these. Like I mean, you got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 expansion pass. That's technically just an expansion pass, so that shouldn't be really on this.
On the list, the expansion pass.
That shouldn't really be on there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, even the fucking Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways DLC, that's on there. I think realistically, they should take DLCs off here. This list should literally just be
a game.
This should just be brand new release game. Not even like remasters, unless it's an actual like Resident Evil remaster. Essentially, this list should generally just be out and out release games. So realistically,
it's a base game.
Yeah, so realistically, I mean, fucking Spider-Man Armored Core would both probably slot into Spider-Man maybe low 20s or maybe high teens, and then Armored Core would be in the 20s. So yeah, this list is a bit dumb. But yeah, that was one I was looking at again. I said I was going off this list, and that was one of the ones on there. But I kind of chose 4 other options that might do it.
Right. I'll pick one this is my last one, so I'll pick it, and I think you'll have it on your maybe list in there. And I'm just gonna Starfield. Yeah, it's Bethesda. There's no way most. I mean, I don't think he won't win fuck all really.
No, not really.
But it's a Bethesda game, and critics normally suck off Bethesda games. So
we have a look where that is on this list.
It's got to be low down. I don't think it's going to be high.
It is currently sat 48.
So he's not too low down, really. I thought he's
about halfway. I mean, one of the ones I've picked is pretty close to that as well. Like, it's 43rd. But yeah, I agree. Starfield's definitely one of the ones that is a possibility. As I say, that might be the one that we both agree on just putting on as the extra one, because we both had that on the list in some way or format. So that might be just the overall extra one. But I say I'm still deciding myself if I might just not bother putting the 6th one and just say it's possibly on one of these, but I'm not too sure because it's quite close. But yeah, I agree. Starfield was one of the first ones that came to mind. It's an extra one. I was like, obviously I had the 5 and I was like, 6th one. Starfield's definitely got to be a choice because it's a brand new game. It got quite a decent enough response, both critically and audience wise. And it was quite, obviously, say it's a big deal. Bethesda, it was a massive fucking thing. So it was definitely going to be on there. My other ones, obviously, was Super Mario Wonder. That was another one.
Yeah, that would have been on my list, but obviously, I literally just thought about it before.
That's definitely, obviously, 2 that I feel like. I don't know, out of all these, I've only played 2 of the 4 that I've picked, the extra ones. The same with like the main list overall. I mean, I played 1, 2, 3 of them all together. But my other ones I've got on here is Final Fantasy, the new one, because that got quite a decent critical response.
Yeah, but then it also got. See, that's the thing with like critics. It did get a decent response, but then I suppose the user side was very mixed.
Yeah, but Game of the Year awards based on critics heavily, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our votes when we vote is like, was it like 5% of it, if that? So
I feel like getting into the nominations for the top a lot of the time, it kind of is user and. I think once he gets in there, critics have their way with it. But
yeah.
I feel like beforehand, I feel like a lot of games like user-wise kind of pushed their way in as well.
And my last one is actually if it does get in there, it'd definitely be like a well done. I mean, it kind of deserved it because it's quite good. It was one that we actually both played. I mean, you mentioned it to me, and I eventually played it, and I think I finished it before you. I don't know if you ever did. Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush. I think I played like
that came out to quite a very that is technically higher than some of these games you've said. Currently, that's at 29 on Metacritic.
I feel like it'll win something. It's definitely a surprise. It's like a diamond in the rough. It's like a good game, but it's just not.
Yeah, it's not gonna win it, but I feel like it definitely could like see a nomination to it, or at least nominating in some of the categories. I feel like most of the ones we've actually said, even if they don't get nominated for the Game of the Year, which apart from realistically, Baldur's Gate 3, Zelda, and at least Spider-Man, so I reckon that would. Apart from them, all these ones you mentioned will probably get nominated in some other category, either narrative. Don't remember the other categories off the top of my head. Obviously, gameplay is usually one. Art direction, soundtrack. Like I reckon a lot. If they don't get nominated in that one, they'll get nominated for soundtrack and stuff like that. I feel like Hi-Fi Rush could get in the soundtrack one. So it had quite a banging soundtrack, if I remember correctly, when that came out. It's quite a bopping.
Yeah, it's music based, isn't it? So it's a decent soundtrack.
So I reckon that could see a soundtrack nomination. If not, it could always fucking win the soundtrack, depending on its competitions. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to pick a 6th one. I feel like I'm going to stick with 5, and one of these 4 are more like. If I was going to pick one out of all of them, Mario's, because Nintendo.
Yeah. Do you think at the Game Awards, because obviously previously to this there wasn't many big remakes of a game, but now every year there's like a decent amount. Do you think they'll ever add a remake category to the Game Awards?
That'd be it'd be a good thing.
Like this year you'd have Resident Evil,
Dead Space.
You'd have Dead Space. Yeah, there's so many different remake of games that come. I mean, Resident Evil and Dead Space are very similar genre. So obviously the horror-based action game.
I feel like it could be a rotational thing. I feel like if there's enough to get a category, then they could do it that year, if you know what I mean. So, for example, like I said, this year, there's at least 2 off the top of our heads. Say there isn't another 2 at least, so that you can get 4 out of it. Then they could say, okay, this year we're going to have best remake. But then you look at next year, there's not one come out. There's like maybe one remake come out. Then in case next year we don't do it. But year after, we've got 5. We'll do it next year. Year after, there's none. Don't do it. Like, it could be a rotational thing, depending on if it's come out. It'd be a bit like, for example, I know, fucking that was the right burp that was. If they didn't, like, say, obviously, because then there's a category for like best family game. It'd be like, for example, if there's not already a family game being released, and it'll never happen because that's like a big fucking market, like families and stuff.
That's I'm talking about that. Mario will win that 100%.
Oh, 100%. That would more likely win family game. I think doesn't Mario pretty much win that each year anyway?
Yeah, pretty much. Wasn't it last year when we was like a game that we'd never heard of and it won? Like we was like, what the hell's that? Was it Mario game? We was like, oh, and we was like, oh, it won't win that. I've never really heard of it. I
can't remember. I'll have to sit back through some of these old episodes and try and look at our old nominations. But yeah, more than likely, I can't see anything beating it on that. And again, unless it's a surprise, we're like, oh fucking hell, I didn't see that coming. But yeah, there's gonna be some interesting like category choices this year. I mean, fucking the video game adaptation one they've brought in there, that'd be an interesting one this year. Because I mean, obviously, I feel like Last of Us is probably going to do that one.
Oh yeah.
Though Mario was like a massive deal, it wasn't critically, was it? So I can't see it doing big.
It was like obviously Mario's aimed towards kids, and I think the Game Awards.
See, I feel like if that category was aimed at fans, I think Mario might just take it over Last of Us because the scores for Mario was fucking through the roof for the user side. But since it's a critical-based award ceremony, I feel like Last of Us is more than likely going to take that award. 'Cause, I mean, it was Arcane, wasn't it, last year? The first year of doing it was Arcane. So I can see Last of Us doing it this year. So we'll see. I say it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's only a couple of weeks away the ceremony, and I mean it's only a week away before we find out actually who's nominated. So it'd be interesting to see how close we are on our choices. Obviously, some things I wanted to bring up quickly. Obviously, Zelda got announced as a film. The film adaptation is finally fucking happening. That's a big thing.
Holland is Zelda.
It is Sony. It is Sony. Fucking obviously Chucky got announced for Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know how that's gonna work, but we'll see.
It's his obviously the doll, but then it's got I can't remember the actual guy's name who's this inside the doll.
Oh fucking
he's like when you kill someone and pick him up, he picks him up kind of thing.
Oh, so there is a pick-up action to it.
Yeah, so like obviously you run round as the doll.
Yeah.
That possessed doll, and then if you kill someone, knock him down, when you go to grab him to put him on a hook, the spirit of the guy who possessed the doll picks up the doll and the person.
Oh. Is that like?
It's a bit weird.
I haven't seen. Obviously, the only thing I saw was the reveal trailer of him just running around.
No, there's actual gameplay of it now. So
I'll have to have a look. I didn't know that. I'll have to have a look at that. Obviously, the other big thing I was going to bring up is the fact that the actor strike's finally over.
Oh, is it finally?
It finally got at midnight. Obviously, midnight just gone. It basically ended. They got a deal sorted, so they're actually able to work again there.
They got an extra £1. Woo!
That's us at work, that is, when we get the extra £1. Yeah!
Extra
10p, come on, son.
It's all work. 10 hours, I'll get an extra £1.
Then the bloody tax man takes it from me.
I mean, tax.
But yeah, it come to an end, so that was a big deal. I think I've had a feeling it was going to, I mean, for the fact that they got a go-ahead for the Hunger Games film to have basically the actors to promote it, I was like, that's kind of a good sign. And then on top of that, fucking, I think Saturday Night Live is going to have like 2 actual celebrity hosts coming up, and I was like, again, that's another good sign that this strike's pretty much coming to an end if they're allowing like a lot more to go ahead. So I was like, it's more likely to come to an end. And obviously, when I woke up this morning at fucking God knows what time again, I looked on TV and I was on YouTube, and one of the first things I saw was that. I was like, scrolling for fucking the internet as quick as I can. It was like, yep, it's over. And I was like, oh, okay, it's finished. It means everything can go back to fucking normal. Films can actually be promoted properly, so they can actually do a lot more marketing with them. I mean, they definitely saved a lot of money on the marketing department since the strike's not happened. But yeah, obviously they can do a lot more now. I'm guessing it'll be films more likely starting end of this month, starting next month. That'll start like things like Wonka and Aquaman and trying I don't know what else is coming out next month. Can't think of anything. I'm guessing those ones with the early ones to be heavily promoted again. Obviously, Hunger Games would be the first one, but anything like the new Captain Marvel, which is just coming out tomorrow. I'm guessing that won't be heavily marketed with the cast. I'm guessing they'll probably put stuff online now, like the cast saying stuff about it, but there won't be actually attending premieres because obviously it had its premiere the other day, so they couldn't attend it.
Yeah.
I know the ratings on that at the moment are very mediocre to slightly above average. It's another mediocre Marvel film it's been labelled as.
But I saw the mid-credit scene got leaked, and people's like, it should be called mid-credit scene because it's ass. So that's great.
I'll find out tomorrow when I go watch it. I'll find out then if it is actually... I literally said to Hayden, I was on my YouTube, and obviously the 3 of the channels that I follow popped up with reviews, and all 3 were just facing them going... all 3 of them. And Hayden goes, of course, it's just 3 fucking men pulling faces to a film about women.
I mean, the first one was pretty shit, so it's not going to make a massive difference to doing it now.
I don't want to say anything else, she's staring at me. Put your headphones on, watch whatever you're doing. Wait, just stop. You stopped, okay. No, what I was about to say is, the thing is with the first one, I thought it was a decent film, it's just I thought the villains sucked ass. That was my weakest part of it, was the villains were just so fucking horrendous. They were some of the worst superhero villains in my opinion. But then I read about this one that the villains as well in this one aren't the best. But a lot of it makes up for the lack of villains. That, and to be fair, it's a short film. It's only like an hour 40 something. It's a short one, which is unusual for Marvel. Every film's like 2.5 hours now.
I felt like if from a Marvel film lately to draw me in, it has to be like they needed like a dark, gritty one. The Marvel humor's wearing on me now. I'm so that whole like crap witty line halfway through a fight or something. It's like, I just can't do it anymore. It's so bland now that it's every film's almost identical. It's like if they did something like.
And Blade's probably going to be the next gritty one, isn't it?
That's what they need. They need something that's like dark.
Polar opposite.
Like humor kind of. It's like it's meant to be like a serious world-ending thing, and it's like
crack a joke.
Like whack this joke in there. You know what I mean? It's like.
So I feel that's what sometimes sells, though, isn't it? That's what sells a lot of them.
It did originally, but I think lately Marvel
a lot of people are dropping off a bit because a lot of times I think with a lot of them, a lot of people don't like the VFX in it, or they don't like their certain choices. Like it puts a lot of people off.
Problem is, it's very samey, and I feel like that's why people like the Spider-Man films now, because they I know it's obviously Spider-Man same character, but they kind of tried to do something different.
Yeah,
and then all the rest of Marvel films were like very.
Thing is though. Sometimes when they try to do stuff too different, people hate that even more. I mean, Eternals, for example, that was like one of the most drastically different Marvel movies, and that, critically at least, was fucking hated to shit. Audience was a bit more positive, but not as positive. But then, for example, look at the new Ant-Man. Like, in comparison to the two previous ones were heist movies. The heist was a very small part of it. It was more like an actual, like, comic book type movie. Like, it's craziness. And it was very hated by, I say, critics again. Audience was a bit of a better response, but again, they tried something different, and it got hated. Like, especially if you look at the ratings on the critics for the first two Ant-Man films, like fucking like really highly rated, and this one was just like nowhere near the ratings of that. I think audience-wise, might have been roughly about the same. Even like Thor: Love and Thunder, that took another drastic change on the Thor character, and like. It was like very widely hated. But then again, a lot of people are hating Taika Waititi stuff lately. I think the only thing Taika based that everyone's enjoying is obviously What We Do in the Shadows, but he's not involved in that heavily. And that is that Our Flag Means Death, that fucking pirate comedy he's doing that he's in. It's like it's on BBC iPlayer. I think that's the only those are the only things that everyone's really liking. Because I know his other new film he's just done that. I think it's called Next Goal Wins. With Michael Fassbender, like even that's been like quite negatively reviewed. So a lot of stuff post Jojo Rabbit has been a bit negative on his front.
I love how everyone had different JoJos in mind.
You were going, Jojo.
I was in my head. I was like Jonathan Joestar.
I had nothing. I had no JoJo apart from the film. But yeah, like, so even when they try, I think stuff differently. I think sometimes people hate them, but then when they try to do the same, people hate it either way. So I feel like sometimes it's hard.
The inevitable fall after having a big build up for Endgame, and then going back to normal films, and it's like you can't have this massive build up over these years, this big finale, and then go back to doing these.
Thing is, a lot of them as well, as of the last couple of years, they've been heavily rushed. They've rushed heavily on to get stuff done, especially after COVID. Like, a lot of it was rushed to make it come out like in time. But this strike has actually delayed a lot of stuff. Like, they haven't been able to film a lot of things, so they're actually able to take stuff back to the drawing board. I mean, look at fucking the new Daredevil series. Like, they filmed half of it apparently already. Deleted. They've got rid of everything. They've scrapped it. They've got an actual showrunner involved. They're reshooting pretty much everything. They're starting from scratch. I think I read like Daredevil wasn't even going to appear till like in suit, like till episode like 7 or 8, like quite far into it. So they've literally scrapped everything and reworking on it. So anything like, I think the last pre-done thing is probably the new Captain America, and that's the last one to actually fully finished. Like, everything else is pretty much being redone, or they're still working on them. So hopefully this is a good sign that they're putting a bit more time into them. I feel like that's the problem, is they're rushing them out. They're getting to a standard where their review-wise what are coming out are very DC level reviews. Like, because DC's always a heavily hated, either critically or audience. This is getting to that point now, whereas before it was always at the same point of critics and audience both love what came out. It may have had one, maybe two across the first, like between Iron Man and Avengers Endgame, 1 or 2 that was negative. Obviously, the big one that comes to mind, probably for Dark World, Captain Marvel, in terms of audience at least, like, they came out to very negative responses. But other than that, everything else came out to like 80s, 90s, like ridiculous scores, 70 onwards. So they'll come out to actual good scores. Whereas now, the last decent reviewed Marvel project, so obviously the Secret Invasion came out this year, and that was negative reviewed all across the board.
Guardians of the Galaxy did pretty good.
That was probably that was probably it. That's been the last one since Black Panther. I think there's usually at least now there's one project they're putting out a year that's actually getting heavily decent responses film wise. Same goes for TV. It's hit or miss. That's what there seems to be getting to the point there. But hopefully all these delays with the strikes and whatnot is good. Hopefully it means I can actually put a bit more time, especially with like the Blade one, for the fact that like it was meant to come out like, was it this year I think originally, and it got delayed multiple times, and now it's getting rewritten for like the 4th time. But hopefully with that one, I think since they got the Logan writer to work on it, hopefully that's a good sign. Like, it's a decent writer working on it, so fingers crossed. This is the point now where they start getting back to their standards.
I feel like after Ant-Man didn't jump inside Thanos' asshole and kill him, that's where I
lost a lot of fans.
Yeah, I think that's where I fell off a bit. I thought, this is so unrealistic now. Ant-Man could have just jumped in his asshole and destroyed him in 2 seconds. They didn't.
For fuck's sake. But yeah, hopefully it's a sign there that they can start picking up again. Talking quickly before I wrap this up, obviously it's that Netflix Geek Week. Obviously, where they've announced like a few things. Obviously, I know they announced, I think it's February, Last Airbender's coming out. But they also announced there's another anime Witcher film coming out, which is set during the first season. Yeah, it's set during the first season, so 50-50 could be Henry Cavill voicing Geralt.
Oh, so it is animated.
It's apparently
film tied in.
It's apparently like where the story is. It could have easily been filmed and slotted into the first season, but they didn't bother. Obviously, they didn't bother with it. But now they are, and it comes out next year. I think they've been working on it a few years, so they haven't announced anything apart from the title, and that's coming out next year. So a lot of people are saying, what's he on about? It could be Henry Cavill, because if they recorded the voice lines a while ago, which I think they said they did, it could be Henry Cavill back as Geralt for one last time. Obviously, they could redo all the voices, and it could be Liam Hemsworth, which wouldn't make sense since it's meant to be series 1. Or it could be someone else. It was this other name, which I don't know if it was the guy voicing him in the game or what. I mean, that'd be interesting if it was the guy from the game. But obviously, it's set again in the main universe, so until they actually announce who's voicing, I'm not too sure yet. It's like Sirens of the Deep or something like that. So we'll see. It's part of the one the Netflix Geek Week announcements they did. But yeah, so that wraps up everything I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is it. You can check out our previous years, the actual of the previous year prediction one that we did, as well as our
last
previous.
year when I was right. Boom, 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 boom.
No, I mean our last year predictions. The predictions is going to nominate, but you can check out an actual annual Game of the Year award voting ones we do. A lot of these, if I remember, will be in the description below. And then next week, if you join us again, we'll be doing the actual voting because it should be up and running for voting. Since they get announced Monday, they should be up and running, so we'll be doing that. Get our little ugly mugs are going to be tiny this time. It's going to be a full screen of the voting screen and me hiding my bookmark bars because I can't get showing all that Addams Family porn again.
Yeah, Addams Family porn.
I've renamed every single title to say, "But brother, what do we do?" And if you click the little button that gets the drop down menu, it says, "It's not fair. You went twice." But yeah, obviously we'll do that next week.
That's my favourite adaptation of the Addams Family.
If you like this episode, obviously you can like and subscribe, and you can check out our previous episodes in general. You can check out the new episode and the old ones on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, most of your podcasting platforms. It'll be available. But yeah, that has been it for this episode. So we hope you enjoyed, and we shall hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace out, man.